Many people think that gardening is a spring and summer affair, but with very careful planning, you can have vegetables even through your fall and winter. So in today's video, I'm going to show you how you can flip your bed so it's ready for your fall plants, what exactly you can plant in the fall, and how you can protect your seedlings from the hot, scorching sun of summer. There's a lot of information about how to protect your plants through the winter, and that is such a broad topic that is a video for another day. But today we're talking about how to prepare for planting. I had potatoes growing in this bed just about a month ago and I harvested them, and I want to prepare this bed for planting my fall plants. Now, if you have plants that are still not quite done in the season, you can still plant your fall plants around those, like I did in this bed over here. I had a pepper plant that was doing quite well, and I went ahead and planted some brassicas in and around it since I had some space. But if your bed is completely empty by about August or even early September, you can still plant your fall crops in there. One of the first things that you may notice is that your soil over the summer might have become a little bit compacted. Your seedlings need loose soil. They need that oxygen to their roots. If it is compacted, you want to loosen your soil just a little bit to give those roots a really good start. I'm a big proponent of low-till methods of gardening, where you're not doing a lot of seasonal upheaval of your soil, because it really is, your soil is an ecosystem, and anytime you do that, you're disrupting that ecosystem. How do we loosen our soil up just a little bit without disturbing that very delicate ecosystem? Now, in the case of my bed here, because I recently pulled out potatoes, it's actually not very compacted, so I wouldn't do this in this bed. But I'm going to show you, if you do have a bed that has a little bit of some compaction, one of the easiest ways I find to do this is to use a broad fork if you have one, or if you have in-ground beds, it's very easy to use a broad fork, or something like this, which is, this is not a pitchfork, I don't even know what this is called, but it's a fork of some sort. What I'm going to do is I'm going to use this fork to very gently push it into the soil and just wiggle it around. I'm not flipping the soil, I'm not disturbing it a lot. I'm just adding a little bit of some air and some fluffiness back into the soil before I'm ready to plant my plants. Definitely look at your soil before you do any sort of loosening of it, because if your soil is loose enough like it was with my potato bed, there's no need to have to do any more disturbance. Another thing you may have noticed that over the summer, the soil within your garden bed, especially if it's a raised garden bed, has settled and kind of sunken down a bit. One of the things I like to do is add a fresh layer of soil on top to kind of replenish that, so that my soil doesn't just continue to sink down until there's nothing left. Once again, this may not be necessary for you if your bed looks fine, but I do tend to notice that over a full season that my soil does settle quite a bit. I get a garden blend from a local company that has a little bit of compost and some topsoil, and it's really great stuff. You may also choose to add compost to your bed. Compost is a wonderful amendment to add to your soil. I usually recommend, though, to add a little bit less than more. It may be hard to believe, but you can overdo it with compost even. I know that it seems like it's a great thing, so more is better, but in this case, no, it's not. If you choose to add compost to your garden bed before you plant your fall plants, I recommend doing one that is very well aged. You want it to smell, look, and feel like soil. You shouldn't see any particles in it that have not finished decomposing. And it shouldn't be very wet or very dry. It should be a very nice moist texture. And you want one that has been well aged, one that is preferably over a year aged. Before we move on to the next step of preparing your garden for your fall plantings, I want to take a moment to talk about this video sponsor. Vermistera is a family-owned company that makes quality organic earthworm casting products. I have been using Vermistera in my garden for over a year now and seen absolutely amazing results. I only will promote products that I truly have used and believe in, and Vermistera is one of those amazing companies. Since using Vermistera in my garden, not only have my plants absolutely been thriving, they have been able to withstand a lot more heat stress than they usually would do. Another amazing benefit that I have seen since using Vermistera is that my pest pressure is so incredibly low. In fact, this year I had no aphids on my plants until literally just a week ago, and we're at the end of the gardening season when my plants are starting to not do quite as well, and that's amazing considering that in years past, I would lose entire crops to aphids. I know you'll be blown away with Vermistera, so use the code below and in my description to get 10% off your order. Vermistera does sell worm castings, but today I'm mostly going to be focusing on their tea and their vitality, which are very unique to Vermistera. This is fermented extract from worm castings. It's basically like probiotics to your soil. It is a soil conditioner, so it generally improves your soil over time. The microbes in this tea improve your plant's ability to uptake all these important nutrients, which is why if you're ever fertilizing your plants, you can cut the dosage in half when used in conjunction with Vermistera tea and Vitality. I chose to completely water my bed with the worm tea because I want to improve all the soil in my bed, not just around my plants. Now that I've inoculated my soil with some great microbes, let's move on to actually planting your plants. Now I started these indoors about a month and a half ago, before the time I wanted to plant. These are absolutely ready to be planted in the garden. They got a head start. So hopefully they'll be able to grow enough before the first frost comes. I'll put a list right here where you can see all the different things that you can plant in your fall and winter garden. All of these are cool weather crops that will tolerate either a little bit of frost or can even tolerate some hard frost as well. So in the example of today, I'm planting mostly brassicas, which are broccoli and cabbages. These plants are looking really healthy. I put worm castings in the mix, as well as watered these with Vitality and Worm Tea, and they're just looking absolutely great. Key to timing your plantings is to get your plants as big as possible before you have your first frost, because as the days shorten and the weather cools, your plants are going to slow down on their growth. So you want to get as large of a plant as possible before you get your first frost. For most people, this means planting in July and August, and even as late as early September, which is the time now. So this is a little bit late for me to be planting these, but I'm planning to create a little miniature greenhouse over these, so I think they're going to do just fine. I'm going to be spacing these about anywhere from 15 to 18 inches apart in this bed. We'll see how many we can fit in here. Now that my bed is fully planted with all the plants, I'm going to be probably sprinkling in a few things like spinach and radishes in and around these cabbages and broccoli. So that way I kind of fill in the space. Now, the next thing I'm going to be doing is watering these in very deeply, because seedlings are more prone to drying out quickly and suffering from heat. We are supposed to be getting rain hopefully in the next day or two, so I don't have to worry so much about these. But if you're planting these in like July or August, you really have to be on top of watering your seedlings so they don't dry out. As I'm doing this watering, I'm going to be adding Vitality into my water. It's very concentrated and very gentle. This is several pounds of earthworm castings in this bottle right here. So the worm tea is more of a probiotic for your soil, a soil conditioner. This one here is more of like a multivitamin for your plants. The reason I'm choosing to water with Vitality is not only because it's a boost of nutrition for my plants, it also decreases your risk of root rot, helps with transplant shock for your plants, and at the same time encourages root development. So it's really especially helpful for your young seedlings. Now that you've transplanted your young seedlings, these are very tender and they are going to be very sensitive to the heat of summer. So here are a few tips to help improve your chances of your plant surviving the heat until the weather starts cooling off. Number one is mulching. Everyone should be mulching all times of the year, even in the winter when things are wet and rainy and snowy, especially in summer to help conserve water. And for these plants, it's absolutely important. We want to make sure that we're conserving that water so that we don't have any issues with them drying out. My personal favorite is using straw, and I happen to be out of straw right now. I'm going to be purchasing some later today, and I'm going to be adding it to my bed here. Other thing is to water your seedlings regularly and deeply. Allowing your seedlings to dry out is just a recipe for issues. So you're going to be kind of bathing them for the next few weeks to make sure that they don't end up dying on you. So you're going to be watering them extra, even more than the rest of your plants in your garden. And the last thing is to provide shade for your plants. Sometimes you can plant things around so that you get afternoon shade naturally. But if you don't, a couple ideas for you is to add some sort of shade cloth over top. There are some that you can purchase. I have also just used a sheet, like a bed sheet, and just kind of propped it above the plants as long as it's not really suffocating them too much. Another thing I have used is an umbrella. I've just propped it up around my plants and kind of provided as much shade as I could in the very hottest parts of the day. You'll probably have to do this until the weather starts cooling off or until your plants are big enough to survive a little bit of heat. Once your plants are established, you can sit back and enjoy the fall season, knowing that you're going to be harvesting these wonderful veggies in the middle of winter when a lot of other gardens are dormant. You might need to provide some frost protection for your plants, but that is a topic for another video. So definitely be sure to subscribe so you don't miss future videos on how you can do winter gardening. And if you're interested in purchasing Vermistera products, use the link below and in the description for getting 10% off your order. I hope you have a wonderful fall season. Thanks for joining me in today's video. As always, go out and grow something. God bless. You want to say hi?
Yeah. Hi.